Look, you're not going to agree with all of this. I know it, you know it, yes, you, sitting there, rubbing your hands together. Oh, I can't wait until he misses one of my favourite matches off the list so I can dust off my caps lock and let everyone know my precious little opinion. Your life makes me sad, read a book. So there are more than 10 great WrestleMania matches, obviously, and yes, there are some big omissions from this list, so here's the deal. For every match that you think I missed, instead of telling me about it in the comments, write it down on a little piece of paper, then eat that little piece of paper, then fuck off. Cool, but seriously, thank you for subscribing. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are the 10 best WrestleMania matches of all time. Number 10, Edge vs. Mick Foley. TLC 2 is not going to be on this list. I know, right? What a jerk. That match is awesome, a monumental hardware spot fest that shortened careers and made the crowd scream, "Holy Shinsuke Nakamura." Well, the hardcore match between Edge and Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22 did all that as well, but there was a proper story and ring psychology involved too. Mickle setting out to prove he was still a legend of hardcore, Edge looking to cement himself as a main event heel, thumbtacks, barbed wire. Some of the match is genuinely hard to watch, reminiscent of the Cactus Jack Trip Street Fight of 2000, one of the finest WWE matches of all time. It all ends with an astonishing spot, Edge spearing Mrs. Foley's baby boy off the apron through a mother-fudging flaming table as Joey Styles prolapses in excitement. I apologise for leaving you with that image in your mind. Number 9, Hulk Hogan vs. The Ultimate Warrior. Not every great WrestleMania match is an in-ring masterpiece. Sometimes the competitors, the atmosphere, the crowd, the stakes all combine to elevate what would otherwise be as engaging as two chicken legs sitting in a fisherman's hat into a thing of beauty. An average match becoming iconic via showmanship is basically Hulk Hogan's entire gimmick. It's more a part of his persona than his mustache or skin colour or his naughty times with Old Lady Love Sponge. And though him slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 was a classic moment, his match with the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6 was better from bell to bell. The uncertainty, the babyface versus babyface buzz creating constant cheers that built throughout the classic contest, peaking when the Warrior upset the Hulkster to a huge ovation. And then their rematch at Halloween Havoc 1998 was even better. Number 8, Savage vs. Steamboat. First of all, let's all imagine Randy Savage fighting an actual steamboat. Wouldn't that be something to see? Second of all, some people might expect this match to rank higher on the list purely down to decades of it being immortalised as one of the greatest steal-the-show matches in wrestling history, and it's true, at WrestleMania 3 the fluid chemistry between the Macho Man and the Dragon is something to behold. The crisp offense, the meticulously rehearsed set pieces, in fact because of that it comes off as a bit of a clinical match in hindsight, a technical marvel sure, but not quite the greatest of all time. Still, in terms of laying the groundwork for great workers emerging from the shadows of giants, it's got one hell of a legacy. Number 7, The Rock vs. Hogan. Icon versus icon once again. Hogan, once again, not a masterpiece by any means, but like the Warrior match before it, it just felt, and I hate to use this word, but it felt epic. At WrestleMania 18, Rocky met Hulky in a genuine dream match and the crowd was rabid from bell to bell. Seriously, it was 20 minutes of solid noise as the fans fluctuated from cheering Rock to cheering Hogan to booing Rock. Anything that ignites the crowd as much as this has to be on the list, regardless of the fact that the most complicated move that Hogan could pull off at the time was a clothesline. Number 6, Bret Hart versus Steve Austin. We've talked about this match loads already, but hey, it's brilliant, that's why it's topping a lot of lists. Bret Hart and Steve Austin were masters at being able to read the crowd and call a match, and their chemistry boiled over in their classic bout at WrestleMania 13, which managed to be both a savage brawl and a technical classic, a single ray of light in an otherwise dark and cold WrestleMania. It's possibly the best example of booking savvy on this list, crowning a top heel in Hart and a top babyface in Austin. The match wasn't just one of the best, but is one of the best for business. Number 5, Randy Savage versus The Ultimate Warrior. Randy Savage once again stealing the show like it's his damn job. At the Royal Rumble 1991, that no-good rascal, the Macho King, screwed The Ultimate Warrior out of his WWF Championship that set the stage for a tense, hard-hitting and ultimately emotional brawl between the two former Mania main eventers. It was a retirement match, stipulating that whoever lost would never compete in the WWF again, which admittedly lasted all of 8 months, but hey, that's longer than most people stay banished from the ring. John Cena. Sorry. John Cena. Not only was the match damn quality, but it had possibly the best post-match theatrics of all time as Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth reunited for the only nice wedding in WWE history. Number 4, HBK versus Triple H versus Chris Benoit. WWE tend not to have too many triple threats to close out Mania. Traditionally, the main event of the show of shows is a one-on-one affair that climaxed to an intense and personal feud. Weirdly though, most of the big match Mania triple threats have been great. Angle Mysterio Orton at 22, Orton Cena Triple H at 24, Bryan Batista Orton at 30, but the pinnacle is still HBK versus Triple H versus Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 20, a strong contender for the greatest triple threat match in WWE history. Not only is the action fast-paced and beautifully worked, Michaels and Benoit are two of the greatest workers of all time and Trips was no slouch, but also the post-match celebration when Benoit won the title was a thing of pure joy. Try if you can, just for a moment, to forget what followed and remember this moment of Benoit and Guerrero. Number 3, Flair versus Michaels. And speaking of emotion, oh hello there tears, I guess you're here to stay. Ric Flair's final match in WWE was magnificent, two of the greatest of all time facing off with the Nature Boy's career on the line. Everyone knew what was coming, but they sure as hell weren't ready for how it would end. Considering that Flair was 59 goddamn years old at the time, he wrestled one hell of a 20-minute match with a showstopper. By the end, both men had tears in their eyes, and Ric Flair stood there, proud, worn down, telling HBK to pull the trigger. Michaels whispered, "I'm sorry, I love you," and hit him with one last sweet chin music before ending Flair's legendary career. Cue applause and weeping. I mean, of course, Flair was wrestling in TNA 2 years later, but leave the memories alone! Number 2, The Rock vs. Stone Cold. It's hard to pick which of the trilogy of The Rock and Steve Austin's Mania matches was the best. Their match at 15, which was The Rock's first main event, their match at 19, which was Austin's last, but no, the honor goes to Rock vs. Stone Cold at WrestleMania 17, aka the best damn WrestleMania of all time. It was a stacked card that built beautifully to a colossal showdown between the two biggest, baddest bastards in the business. Great performances, great pacing, and hey, say what you want about how the heel turn ended up falling flat, but when Austin shook Vince's hand, it was fucking amazing. It's one of the best calls of JR's whole career. Why did Stone Cold sell his soul? To Satan himself. And number 1, Undertaker vs. Shawn Michaels. It's just amazing. The sequel match they had at Mania 26 with Michaels' career on the line had higher stakes, more emotion, and the right placement on the card, but the original match at WrestleMania 25 is still the absolute ideal of what a Mania main event should be. An epic encounter, everyone involved over as fuck, clear storytelling, 30 minutes, false finishes everywhere, Undertaker twatting a cameraman to death. It's just bliss. Also, and people don't always speak highly of Kevin Dunn, but it's a beautifully directed match as well, with the cameras picking out the perfect angles to capture the competitors' look of disbelief as yet again their finishing move failed to get the job done. From commentary, "I just had an out-of-body experience," to in-ring, to behind the scenes, everything came together in a perfect example of why WrestleMania is 32 years old and still going strong. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Go on then, tell us about it in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.